I like the desert, and putting the tracks on while writing this is only making me more excited. Holy moly, Genshin Impact's world is split up into 7 nations that center around each of the 7 main elements: Anemo, Geo, Electro, Dendro, Hydro, Pyro and Cryo. The land of Dendro, Sumeru, was incredibly unique however, effectively being 2 separate nations that are, combined, the size of 3. 2 of these thirds fall under the name Sumeru Desert, in contrast to 1/3 of it being a rainforest, and it's an incredibly hated area, I think. I join co-op games whenever I muster the motivation to get on, and each and every time the parts of the place are under 10% exploration. Of course, the land of Lara and Upper Setek are named incorrectly, but that shouldn't justify the hatred this place gets. I'm down bad for none of the girls coming from this place, but rather for the place itself. I love Sumeru Desert even more than the Rainforest, and that's saying a lot when I consider Sumeru the best nation in the game. I've made a video on Sumeru as a whole, so check that out first, but today, it's dedicated to the desert. Let's go, spoilers ahead people. I'm discussing why this is incredibly consistent, unique, and unmatched.
Do your worst! Grant us your blessing!
You've betrayed our village. Don't do anything until I've gotten to the bottom of this. Try something foolish.
You could call this place a consistent hellscape or something because it's incredibly scorching hot all the time, and the weather is filled to the brim with unique things always going on that you'd find nowhere else. You probably think I'm like incredibly ill for loving the place, but hear me out. I didn't like it either at first, but I remember approaching Iru Village for the first time during a sandstorm, and safe to say I was terrified. The environment reminds me of that one place from Star Wars, Tatooine? I don't know the name for sure, but seeing it in Angry Birds Star Wars 2 was the same as how I felt in that moment. It was dark, cold, yet hot, and any torches I saw burned bright to fight back the darkness to show that it was alive. Despite that, monsters roam the desert, and it was just terrifying. The desert is incredibly alien, not having any grass or normal terrain, as it's all dunes and big cracks within the earth, much like the Swirly place. There's so many unforgiving animals like scorpions roaming, but then when you go to civilized areas, suddenly that pursuit of wisdom the nation is themed around grows all the more obvious. Complicated works of machinery roam the halls of these abandoned ruins, with the feeling of danger always lurking behind you at every step. This is the only place to utilize underground areas to their full extent, really showing how far more complicated structuring of the map can go. I'm sure the desert would have been a pain to explore underground before Fontaine's release, but as somebody who explored afterwards I loved it. Massive sprawling caverns like the chasm await underneath the large pyramid that watches over your every move, and those large ruins are found every 100 or 200 meters within the first and second drops of area content within the biome. No other areas in the game have ruins like these that aren't domains, as underground areas were incredibly rare up until Sumeru. Fontaine has a few, but the layered map was mostly added for underwater diving, let's be honest. The desert feels wild and hostile like Inazuma, but it lacks the authority and I love it. The desert offers the experience of accidentally overstepping your boundaries when exploring a world within the game, and then realizing you found yourself in a zone of danger for a bit. I've said a lot about the threatening feeling this desert has, but there's duality in there. This duality, much like the other beloved areas for exploration in Genshin, feels lively. The longer you spend in the desert, the closer you become with the area around you, remembering the innocent, clear-skied hot days of doing puzzles and finding your way around the long stretches of sand, rather than straddling in sandstorms avoiding hordes of monsters. The terrain was boring to me when I first got there due to those long stretches of sand, but when you go to the lands of Setek or the desert of Hamadravith, however you pronounce that, I hope I did that right, those problems quickly become obsolete. The lands of Setek have a constant variety of cliffs wherever you go, and the desert of Hamadravith has a consistent yet interesting stream of swelling gaps within the ground, containing large ruins with more puzzles from the Hypostasis Desert, a flat area. Even the flat areas are okay too with enough time, as they contain many underground places. As I said though, there is something to bring up later on with limitations to one's exploration. Now, there was one more expansion to the desert, though I'll be honest, I didn't explore that thoroughly by that point, as I just wanted to get the Fontaine. However, I remember there being a unique sling of places there, with an oasis filled with trees and large sprawling cliffs blocking off the 2 individual sections. That place is like an outro to Sumeru, utilizing mechanics from both the desert and the rainforest to leave a lasting impression on the player before they depart for the next nation. I'm sure the desert will be expanded over time, but right now it's already amazing. Consider what I just said for a moment. For now, the desert is composed carefully as a structured experience despite the open world. Well, structure. It's wild like I said, but the thought put in is admirable, beginning in civilizations with mainly surface level exploration for familiarity, then going to ruins and underground caverns, then to more dangerous ruins, and finally to a well done exit for Sumeru. People just tend to rush all the exploration due to the overwhelming nature of some parts of the game, and I will admit Sumeru was incredibly bad at not being overwhelming at times. The place has a consistent design to make up for it being overwhelming, with them using this design as best as possible and mixing it up without making it feel too different. Sand, golden orange tinted cliffs, caverns and ruins are the main appeal of the area and never go away, with those occasional paradise-filled discoveries of an oasis to bring some classic Genshin beauty. The desert offers something new to the world of Teyvat that will never be seen again, I'm assuming. Anarchy, tough love-filled doses of beauty, depending on how you look at it, and yeah, it's just awesome. Don't shy away from it because of the surface level lack of variety. There's a lot of charm to be found if you adapt a little to the extremely different nature of the area compared to most places in Teyvat. But despite all this, the mechanics are the main things I love.
From violating matters regarding human evolution to attempting the forbidden and fearing none, the 6 cardinal sins are the origin of all evil in this world.
Filthy outsider! Your coming was foretold.
It's like a nightmare that I can't recall.
And the best guise is when you believe your own lies.
The place is consistent with its mechanics, always using the same ruin technology, tablets and pillars, alongside still utilising 4-leaf sigils, which are a great tool for exploration in general. Sumeru excels at helping you explore due to its sheer size, so the fact they left the Rainforest style sigils for the desert means a lot to me, and it should mean a lot to you as well. The place is inherently inconsistent when seen as a part of the overall nation, but by itself is a very tightly knitted experience that also doesn't shy away from some influence from the Rainforest. It lacks a lot of elementally reactive mechanics here, definitely feeling like its own world, which makes sense considering it was locked away from the social rainforest for an incredibly long time. The piles of sand and Dendro granite found in oases are the only forms of elemental mechanics, requiring Anemo and Dendro ironically some of the most reactive elements. Them being some of the most reactive shows to me that the desert is much like Nahida herself, limiting from being able to express itself to the greater world, despite the size-based influence it has, or could have. To most, the desert is scary or useless, but within it harbours a close connection to the rest of Teyvat, whether it's through Khaenr'iah or Irminsul. It's so content-rich that once you go inside it even acts kindly towards you once you pass the initially scary and reluctant introduction. When exploring, chests are so easy to find, dude, and paired with the sigils, I used to love planning out a rotation to follow between all the chests I'd see while in the air or on top of a cliff. It really helped me stay interested, and while slightly overwhelmed initially, very satisfied once I'd cleared the 3 or 4 chests on my list. However, that of course is only the surface, literally. Underground, more chests are found within circumstances similar to the chasm, and I know you guys love the chasm. I'm really trying to advocate for this place here. Anyway, ignoring the caverns, within ruins, very interesting puzzles are shown to you. Ignoring my need for the tablet, having to ring bells, bring around flying blue cubes, and needing to play with fans, turrets, lasers, books, and bootleg sealies can be really fun once you familiarise yourself. This place makes me feel like a scholar as I went from dreading the need to suck up new knowledge to actively anticipating it. Growing excited once I saw a new factor in each and every puzzle within these ruins. It helps they don't usually mix and match these too often, so it never grows that much more complicated past the initial learning curve presented in the beginning. I know a lot of people agree with my opinion on these puzzles, and quite frankly I'm glad. However, there is a big elephant in the room that I'm sure you're all thinking about, and yes, I'll get there. Finally, in the ruin saga of puzzles that I'm bringing up today are primal obelisks and their little tablets. I love these way more than you can imagine. They really give me the feeling of progress throughout the area, and damn, all these puzzles and stuff make me feel both productive and smart once again, like a wise scholar. Why to design a part of Sumeru out of all the nations? It's rich, with puzzles instead of small errands the world is running you to do. These ruins are like puzzle-driven domains that aren't even domains, contributing to the real living, breathing, open world with real experiences to be remembered and looked back on. How do you guys not love this? It's so consistent, real, and ambitious at times. There are puzzles where I had to play around with the moving platforms, and they were so cool as well. Like, the variety yet consistency astounds me when it comes to these puzzles, as I learn more and more, improving each and every time despite the things that are always changing. Even the enemies are more complicated and require you to learn, and I mean the 2 new Eremites and Primal Constructs. Now, I'll be honest, I despise the new Eremites due to how long they can take the kill, but I love the Primal Constructs. These dudes have the charm of Ruin Guards in their own unique way, and I am really sick of seeing new Ruin machines every -2 seconds anyway. I think one problem a lot of people have with the gameplay of the desert, and even the environment, is the amount of time spent on relatively repetitive concepts. I think these mechanics alongside the smart use of variety with consistent environments goes against this though, as with the acceptance of that time consumption you can grow to enjoy the place significantly more. The puzzles all feel different when they're on the surface or not, and a lot of the ruins have unique gimmicks exclusive to each one. The Dendroculus locations are also quite fun at times, albeit sometimes difficult or even annoying to find. Though that appeals to all the elemental oculi, right? I reckon that's all I have to say on the mechanics, and I hope you're enjoying this ramble content because I'm having a bunch of fun with this script, no cap. Anyway, it's time to address the elephant in the room, Golden Slumber. I'll ramble off the main topic in this section quite a bit, but it's important for why this section exists. Up until now, I've mostly talked on why I like it, but now I want to try and appeal to why you, the viewer, dislike it. I received a comment on my post outlining the same things I've said for the last 7 to 10 or so minutes, though they say the reason this all falls short is because it's locked behind an incredibly long world quest. People wanted this video to explain why it isn't bad, so here we go. Now, I don't like commissions, I never do them, nor do I do events or anything. However, I did both the Aranyaka quest and Golden Slumber. Why did I exactly? Well, because it's worth it. I skipped a lot of the Golden Slumber's quest, and honestly haven't touched the last parts of it, but as somebody who explores for fun once I've hit around 20% to 30%, I can say just doing the bare minimum first 2 acts, which I myself skipped over the dialogue for, is completely worth it. The area teases you with seals over large scales of ruins underground and interesting puzzles that require clearance, and I think that's smart. You need to develop a bond with the desert and its people if you want to reap the rewards available, and this is even true for the Rainforest to an extent. I don't think people realise how much content is available without the quest though, as they try to skip over the area as much as possible. I'll be fair, I might just be a weirdo though, as I don't even like Fontaine exploration, but I seriously enjoyed the things that the quest unlocked, and the stigma around the desert honestly helped me enjoy it. When I unlocked the cavern in the Hypostasis Desert, or the various ruins, or even the big cavern underneath Aru Village, I felt like it was a personalised experience because of how small of a minority I joined when I pursued the adventure here. It's not for everybody and quite niche, but damn does it feel special when you take the desert to the next level and explore it. People could applaud you or call you weird for exploring it so intricately, but I'm serious when I say I haven't met a soul who likes the desert. In fact, I'm actually going to check my exploration right here in this video, so you guys can catch me in 4K. It might be a little low, but I'll compare it to my other exploration percentages as this is meant to be relative shock, not objective. I've got 50s and 60s for the initial 3 regions, and it goes down slowly from there. Keep in mind my holistic interest in actually playing the game was dwindling as well, as 4.2 was about to release, so I focused on getting the Fontaine ASAP with the philosophy of fully exploring an area to my heart's content before moving on. I'd spend 4 to 8 hours at a time exploring the place, and boy did I enjoy every moment of it. Jeht's quest isn't too long, and you can just skip over it. Don't rob yourself of an amazing exploration experience by avoiding the area because of your initial misconceptions or what you hear from other people. Give it a try. Dehya, Candace, Cyno, and just the general social structure really makes sense in conjunction with everything else as well, showing maturity, aggression, and loyalty. The desert is amazing once you develop a loyal bond with its mature sense of puzzling and thought paired with its aggressive, challenging nature. The Jeht quest takes this further by... Jehet? Is how you pronounce it? Do you pronounce it differently? I just realised. Anyway, the Jeht quest takes this further by proving your loyalty to the area furthermore, and building a bond with the characters included and the areas shown. I will address another elephant in the room, and it's a mistake that also occurs in the Fortress of Meropide, believe it or not. It seems there's an Act 3-4 curse where they both focus on an alien area within a nation that only grows more unbearable because of those Archon quests. I think these suffer the opposite consequences though, as I despise Sumeru Acts 3 and 4 but love Fontaine's. However, I don't care too much for the Fortress in terms of exploration due to its size but love the desert. I just think these 2 acts set up a massive negative stigma already for newer players who aren't obsessed with making the whole game easier and needing to explore everything before the story calls for it. Ignoring the flawed storyline, this place is lit. I think another problem with exploration as a whole in the game is everybody is a completionist due to their craving for, you guessed it, Primogems. Maxing out statues of the 7, opening chests solely to gamble, and more ruins part of the fun of exploring. And when a place as mentally taxing as the desert exists, this problem only goes tenfold. Suddenly everything goes 10 times more annoying as the effort put into chests increases. Also, is the difficulty not appropriate enough? This is the halfway point of the game. No naturally big stuff is going to happen, like damn, I'm not surprised. Not having the need to fully do everything available has really benefited my user experience due to the satisfaction I derive from simply existing with a 25% or more in each area I care about. The place is grand, mechanics are grand, and the quests help show off this grand stuff. Just like the environment and mechanics, there is order and structure to everything, and it's all intertwined. I don't like the blocked off exploration, but it doesn't reflect the whole desert experience. At least 50% of the place is available without prerequisites. That's it for my rants, apologies for the lack of structure, but this is a video on a place that, to most, has no structure. Of course I think otherwise. Now, I think that's all, but I'm going to do a little appreciation section to let out a little more love before I'm done. I want to mention how cool the upside down pyramid is. I want to mention the grandiose designs of the ruins and also the pyramid. I want to mention how well the environment of the desert is, how cultured it is, and the perfect way all three dimensions of the area come together. Listen to the tracks Wrathful Streaming Gold, Polumnia Omnia, Swells of Shamshir, Gore Devouring Mania, Ruins of Scorching Might, and Vow of 1,000 Generations. I'm not playing them here, but listen to them on Spotify. All in the album appropriately named The Unfathomable Sand Dunes. I hope this video convinced you a little bit more as I go beyond the basic premise of the puzzles are cool and really attempt to explain how good the place is without the Jeht quest bias until the end. Like, subscribe, join the membership, and you can even follow my Instagram in the description. I may make a Discord server soon, but we'll have to see. Have a good day, night, or whatever it is, people. Love you all, and I love the desert. And you should also love the desert as well. It's rich with puzzle driving. It's rich with puzzles. It's rich with puzzles instead of small errands in the world is running you to do. Oh. It's rich with... Oh.